We have Dan Horgan on Storm, and we have Alexander Gabriel on Blue-White Control. He switched up from Abzan, and I guess that's good.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him play anything other than a green-black variant, so this will be interesting.
I seen him play Jeskai when it was very good, and he played it for, I think, a week or two, and he was bored with it, and he went right back.
Yeah, I mean, Jeskai hasn't been good in a bit, but yeah, I remember there was a very brief period where Jeskai was the deck to be on.
So Dan started off with a fast land, and then Alexander just throws out an island. So
Mana Dork on 2 is pretty good. If he doesn't have Path, he probably just loses. He does have some counter spells, so
which is really
depends
weird.
on how Dan plays this.
Talking about blue-white a little bit last round, and then looking at it now, I didn't know they were back to putting Mana Leak in the deck either.
Blue-white is one of those decks where people will actually just do whatever they want. So I would not see like a Mana Leak in his hand and take that as a suggestion that that's what they're doing right now. All right, so
Ritual for 3, paying 2, gifts.
Gifts
obviously
Ungiven, you counter that, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is where it's kind of awkward to have Mana Leak, because this card basically didn't do anything. Although it does mean he's not dead, so there's that. If that had resolved, he just loses the game, but because the Mana Leak, he had to pay 3 and only has 1 floating mana, so he doesn't just outright lose.
Yeah. But so me and Dan are testing because we're going to Magic Fest GP Indy, which is Team Modern.
Oh, okay.
And we've been talking about it, and he's been going over the Storm build because his number one answer to me is, whenever we test it, and I go to gifts, and I go, I don't know what to give you. And he's like, nobody does.
Well, here's the thing. If your opponent casts gifts and they have 4 floating mana, you just concede.
Yeah.
It literally does not matter. Well, I mean, as long as they give you this pile. Any pile they give you doesn't matter. In this situation, he only has 1 floating mana. So you don't want to give him the mana. You give him the other 2 cards and hope that he doesn't have mana sources in his hand. I believe he can't win here still, because this only puts him up to 2 mana. He has no way to get up to enough mana to cast the... Yeah, he just had to spend it on cantrips. What is that?
Peer through something or something like that, or...
Peer through depths, probably. Yeah, it's peer through depths. This seems to be going a little too deep. I don't know how he's finding room for this in his deck. Maybe this is what Storm is playing now, but I haven't seen this in Storm before.
Is he really just gonna go?
He can't. He doesn't have enough mana. Unless I'm missing something, I don't see how he could possibly... How did he get up to 4 mana? Did I miss something? He had 2 mana, cast Peer Through Depths. He had 1 mana.
He found another cantrip off of that one. Another ritual, because I see there's 3 of the Desperates now in there.
So if he found 1 ritual off of that, he would have gone up from 1 mana to... It makes only 3. That's why I am confused. Because he had nothing left. How did he go from... Because he cast Peer Through Depths with 1 mana floating, and then I'm assuming grabbed a ritual, and then he would have gone from 1 mana to 3. Oh, and then he played land for turn.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I was thinking, I'm just like, wait a second, what are we missing? But he didn't play that land, and that's what it was. Okay, so he was able to go off, which... That's awkward.
Yeah. Alright, so looking at sideboards. Alexander's the one that probably needs to change the most. The Force of Negations are really nice, and those would probably come in. Rest in Peace is pretty obvious, although Rest in Peace not as good against Storm as it used to be because they can sideboard into Aria of Flame if they want to.
I think when me and Dan were testing, I think he does go into Aria of Flame, though.
Yeah, against these control decks, it makes sense to have the most card advantage and the most win conditions in your deck that you can. So those will definitely come in. Narset definitely comes in.
I think Alexander brings in the Mentor, though, because he was showing me earlier how much he brings it in against everything. I don't think this is the right deck to bring it in.
Well, yeah. So the thing about Storm is like you have to like stop them going up once, and then you're probably fine. I don't know. It's hard because if Dan goes for goblins early, he can be kind of screwed. I don't know. The thing is, like, Dan has a bunch of different angles he can attack this from, and Alexander really doesn't. He just kind of has to wait for Dan to do something and then try to stop him with whatever's in his whatever counter spells he has.
Yeah, this is one of those other decks that I was talking about before that basically you win the dice roll, you're pretty lucky. You're going to pretty much guarantee yourself win if you draw the right cards.
Yeah.
So with Alexander being obviously going to be on the play, I think this is going to set Dan back a little bit.
I do think that things change a bit after sideboard.
Yeah, I really do think the Aria of Flame
Game really 1, Storm should win this matchup, in my opinion.
Yeah.
After board, everything kind of changes a bit. Alexander gets to be on the play. If he has turn 2 Rest in Peace, that's going to set Dan back for a bit if he doesn't see one of his bounce spells.
I wonder if the Blood Moon comes in too, though. I have a feeling it does.
It's pretty reasonable against these decks. They play a pretty low number of basics these days, and Blood Moon will basically always cut them off of Cryptic for the entire game.
Move your Pokemon cards, Dan. Now, I give Dan props when it comes to decks. Dan likes to create a lot of standard decks in his off time with other people and everything. But Dan on Storm, he's learned the deck so well. Like, he's very good at it. And when he asked Tony and me to be part of his team, I was like, you know what? Modern, him on Storm, perfect.
When's the GP?
It's September 6th through the 8th.
Okay.
Now that GPs are like 3 days now.
Yeah. I should try to find a team for that.
And
that sounds like something I could do.
And it's Team Modern, and they announced 3 days ago because a lot of people here were thinking it's going to be unified, where everybody has you can only play 4 of whatever in somebody's deck. No, it's straight up Team Modern. So if you want, you can find a whole team of Hogak or a whole team of Dredge. So.
Yeah, I'll probably just play whatever the best Hogak pile is at the time.
Well, Canister's probably going to have one of the best lists, and he's probably just going to keep piling in it. So.
Yeah, and that's September, right? So not much should change.
No, because there's no new set coming out.
Yeah.
So
it'll be probably mostly the same meta. There's a Rest in Peace with only 1 land, but an opt, so probably good enough.
He'll fetch and then opt.
Probably good enough. Over on Dan's side, it looks like he's on the Aria plan.
Yep.
Oh no, there's a second land. Okay, never mind. Alright, I've got the score flipped. It's 1-0 for Storm. There's an opt.
Yep.
Probably hoping to opt into a land. Finds a plains. It's got to just be Rest in Peace on 2. Although, it's going to be really unfortunate if Dan just plays his Aria here and Alexander can't stop it at all. I don't think he has a counterspell or anything, so... Yeah, he's just going to have to let it resolve. I don't know how he ever answers it.
The only way he can answer it is with Little Teferi, I think.
Or Big Teferi, technically.
Yeah.
3 mana for Narset. Sure.
Yeah.
That gets remanded. Okay, so he's got Empty and Aria here. I guess he has to decide which way he wants to go.
I think you start with the Arya plan first.
Yeah, I mean, you can also just Aria first and then next turn, like, be doing a bunch of damage to him with Aria while putting a bunch of goblins on the board.
While emptying everything for the Warrens, so.
Also, Aria is really hard for Alexander to interact with. Any counter spells can kind of stop the goblins thing if Alexander counters the right spell. Alright, so Alexander's at 38 now. Or not 38, 28. This is a little awkward. I think if he just plays this Narset again, he can kind of stop goblins from... he can make goblins only with 3 storm or 2 storm.
Yeah.
Because he can't cantrip anymore. Narset ticks down. Cryptic, Logic Knot, Colonnade, or Path. Probably just take Cryptic and make that your plan for next turn. Can also use that as a way to bounce Aria if you need to eventually.
Yeah.
Path might be good though, because if he has a Mana Dork here, it might just be over. Yeah, you probably just need that as insurance here.
Yeah, now I think he's got to go on to the Goblin plan and just start dealing.
Narset definitely makes this awkward though, because he can only use what's in his hand. And he has no discounts of any kind.
Yeah, he really probably wished he could draw a lightning bolt there.
Yep. He has 1 in the board. I don't know if he plays any in the main. Ritual into empty and he can kill Narset. Yeah, that's true. Arya does allow him to target planeswalkers.
He's not getting full value in the empty though. He's only doing it for little, which I think at this point he wants to go
His plan
full.
might be kill Narset on his end step and then try to do things next turn. I don't know. He's just passing with all his mana up. Alexander with a Snapcaster Mage that does nothing. Oh, also, if Alexander ticks Narset down again, any instant just kills her, so he's got to keep that in mind.
He does have that wipe away too, so he's going to probably get it, the Arya just put to the top.
There's a remand.
Alright, so you're going to take 1. He's going to redirect it over to Narset.
Yep. And he gets to draw a card. Yeah, he might be in trouble here. Yeah, he just minuses the Narset. It's probably dying regardless here because any other spell kills it, so he just recognizes that
and I
have
think
to cash it in for another card.
With you minusing the Narset, I think you give an open chance right now to Dan.
He does still have no mana creatures, so he can't just straight up kill him this turn, but he can empty for a decent amount. That's pretty weak to a sweeper, though. So I don't know how he feels about playing around that, but at the same time, I don't think he cares about playing around a sweeper because Arya is just ticking up the whole time.
I think he has to do something with it because he knows once the Teferi lands that the Teferi is going to hit the Arya.
Yeah.
So I think he knows he's got to do as much as possible because in order for him to be on the Arya plan next turn. Okay.
Discards to hand size. Maybe he's waiting until he finds his 4th land before he does it. That might be what he's doing.
Because he has little Teferi and big Teferi at this point.
What is he doing here?
Giga Drowse.
Giga Drowse in your upkeep. Take 2 damage. Tap down. Tap down 3 lands, I guess. Did he target the Field of Ruin? That seems like a mistake if that's what he did, because then he can just do exactly this and Field of Ruin to still have 3 mana up. Potentially 4 if he has another land in hand. Yeah, it looks like he did.
He did.
Yeah, that's definitely a small misplay. There's Teferi, bounce Aria. Yeah, that's rough.
But he's tapped out now. Except for the 1.
Yeah, 1 man. Well, yeah, but Dan can't go off on an empty board like this. Brawl's good though.
You can start working next turn. He really does need a 4th land, honestly.
Because he can play Brawl here, but then he
I
can
honestly
only empty for 4.
Maybe Narset might be the play.
Narset can't grab lands, which is awkward.
No, but it cuts him off of drawing extra. So if he plays Big Teferi, he's not going to get anything off the Big Teferi. All he's going to get is the untap. He has a path in his hand. So it's just like, right now they're both at that like stalemate stage in the game where they're waiting for one of the other person to start making a move.
I kind of like just replaying Arya here.
I think the issue though is you're letting Alexander gain another 10 life when you know the Big Teferi is going to come down and do it again.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Dan's trying to figure out. He's trying to figure out like, all right, I already let you gain 10 life. I wasn't doing enough.
Maybe the answer is just try to
Unless
draw
he's in
into.
a
He has a piece of the puzzle too. Maybe it's okay. Ritual.
3. That's going to be for 3.
Metamorphose.
Going to go to 4. I think he's just trying to empty for enough where it's not going to super kill him.
I mean,
Shouldn't he have 4?
that's a tapped land.
No, he should have.
He has 4 counting the island that's untapped. So if he wants to empty here for X's or Storm's 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 6 goblins isn't great. Six goblins is actually a pretty slow clock when Alexander's at 25.
Yeah. Is that a V-Club that he also drew?
Yeah, he's got one of those in hand. And Dovin's Veto there. Alright, ticks up.
Yeah, that's an issue now. Dovin's Veto, he's going to play Arya. It's just more likely going to get countered.
Yep. 5 mana. He can even safely shock himself here if he wants to for this Hallowed Fountain. He's just going to play a Field of Ruin instead. And he gets to represent Cryptic here.
Yep, that's big.
Yeah, Grape Shot's not great.
Nope.
Maybe he can find a way to build enough Storm to kill both Planeswalkers. But I don't think he can without a Brawl in play. Narset. He's probably okay to just let that resolve. He can minus on it with Teferi if he needs to.
Echoing Truth, Repeal, and then 2 Desperates. It's not the best. I honestly think it's got to be between the Repeal or the Echoing Truth.
Yeah, he will eventually have to bounce the Rest in Peace. So now he's got a way to do that eventually. So this is probably something like... It looks like he's going all with the small Teferi. This is much better against Vendilion Click.
Yep. Assuming either Aria or Grape Shot. Those are Pokemon cards.
Maybe even Echoing Truth. Or actually, so he has Path, so Brawl's fine.
I honestly think it's going to be...
Echoing Truth is like, he literally needs that to go off, but there's also a Wipe Away in hand, so there's redundancy there, so probably not take either of those.
Yeah.
Arya is one win con, and Grape Shot is the other. I don't know. He might be okay to just leave him with all of those. Yeah. He leaves him with all those cards. And then lets Teferi die. Yep. Click gets to kill Narset, which is big. Opt. His hand's really awkward with Rest in Peace in play. He has Logic Knot and Snapcaster Mage, which are both very bad with Rest in Peace in play. Snapcaster Mage will let him block one of these goblins, I guess.
I still think Alexander's just way far ahead, though.
He's very far ahead, yeah.
Go.
He needs to actually get a win con, though. This Teferi is going to get hit by a bunch of goblins this turn, so it's not close enough to being a win con yet.
Yeah, because I'm assuming he's going to path one of them. Or even just throw the Snapcaster out there just to block. Just so the
yeah, there's no reason to just let him die this turn. Doesn't have to. He could even put Colonnade in front of it if he wants to.
And that's what he's going to do.
Yeah. Block with Colonnade, let it go to 1.
Wipe away. Okay.
Is this before blocks?
I'm assuming it's going to be before
If this is
blocks.
before blocks, then Snapcaster Mage probably comes in, right?
Can't. Wipe away has split second.
Yeah,
So he can't
yeah. You can let Wipe Away resolve.
Yeah, you have to let it.
Yeah, and Teferi goes to 1.
Yep. Which is still...
Grape Shot. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good.
Okay, that's a nice sequencing of plays there, Dan. I really like that. I didn't even think that was a line.
Now his hand's looking pretty mediocre.
Yeah.
It might just be time to start beating in with Colonnade and hoping that that's enough to get you there. Yep. So right now he's got nothing else going on, really.
The issue that Dan has to see, though, is he's still representing a counterspell, so...
Yeah, Dovin's Veto plus Path should mean he can survive here. especially with Rest in Peace still in play.
It didn't spell shield.
Okay. 19.
Yeah, I mean, he's winning this race here. So.
Yeah. Play a land if you have one.
Yeah, pieces of the puzzle.
We got a reader. Nah, he's looking. Yeah, see, that's... What do you give him? Give him the Noxious, because it does nothing?
No, Dan gets to pick these.
Oh, that's right, Dan gets to
Yeah.
pick the piles. That's right, my fault.
Yep, he's going to take those two.
Standard
At
time.
some point, he's going to have to get rid of that Rest in Peace when he's ready, though. And that's what the Echoing Truth is for.
Okay. Yeah, he's going to play that out now.
Yep, that's fine.
I mean, it's not going to stick around, but...
Which is fine. But Dan's just going to get another land, basically. Another Rest in Peace, which isn't the best of draw.
Yeah, it doesn't help against that Queen Truth. He knows
No.
that that's in his hand, so... I think it's just Colonnade again. Or 5 mana? Yeah, Colonnade.
12.
I mean, he's got second path in Dovin's Veto. I still think he can't lose with both of those up.
No, Dove and Veto is really what's keeping him in this game the most. And of course, Dan draws Past in Flames, which does nothing. And he never did. I don't remember 100%. Did he ever reveal the Dovin?
Nope, I don't think so.
So he doesn't fully know.
I have R.
Echoing Truth. I think he can just let that happen, right? Does that even matter? Yeah, he just lets it happen. I mean, with Veto, he can afford to do that. So that's 2 floating mana, 3 open lands.
He drew another Manamorphose, though. Which is fine, because he's going to be putting everything right back into it. He has no creature that's helping him.
Oh, everyone just left me. Deck.
Okay.
Ritual.
Oh, no.
For 3.
What's his face?
Manamorphose.
Damn, and he clapped.
He can Past in Flames again. He can Past in Flames, cast everything again, and then Grape Shot to get ahead in the race, I guess.
Yeah.
What's his name? Yeah, it was just what's his name walking around.
I think this is where... At what point do you veto?
Just anything help. Was that show?
You probably do it now, right?
In like the regular.
You probably just counter the Past in Flames?
That's what I'm thinking, too.
You might wanna
'Cause if
change
you do
that,
that,
that's it.
he has no flooding mana, and he has 2 untapped lands. He can't flash it back. He's going to let it happen, though.
Yeah.
Grape Shot.
For 5? 1, 2, 3.
Sure.
Oh, yikes. Holy fuck.
Path one of them.
Sure.
So he's going to take an extra 4. Alright, well, Dan's ahead now.
Yeah.
Um,
Mana League doesn't seem really well.
I guess by not countering that, he gets to hold it and wait until
I
Dan
think
goes to
it-
flash it back.
Yeah, I think he was just waiting for the Aria, which... He doesn't even have to worry about flashing it back.
Yeah, he has Rest in Peace, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep, gonna recast that. Nothing Dan can do about it.
Yep, sure. I'm assuming Dan has already all his basics because he didn't even bother looking for a basic land.
Yeah, he has to shuffle now. That should be all his basics, though.
And yeah, Alexander has ruined the trust of the Jedi. If that's how you want to look at it.
Yeah, now he just gets to start eating goblins.
Yep.
He does drop down to 7, though.
I get you're holding on to the Aria, but at some point
It doesn't matter
yeah,
now, with how many cards are in his hand.
Yep, especially now with Jace. I think this is where I think you have 19 minutes. I think Dan needs to kind of just scoop it up and just...
There's a verdict, too. Get rid of the rest of the goblins.
I think...
You can pretty safely cast that, too, because Dan can't go off with 1 card and an empty board.
Well, not even that. You know it's Aria.
Yeah.
And you know he's going to draw, so 1 card plus an Aria is not going to do anything. So you can just say, yeah, I'm going to cast this, go. Sure, Mammo first, sure. I think if I was Alexander, I would even just...
The white seems to be... Yeah, it is.
Oh my god.
It's pretty popular here. It has a pretty reasonable matchup spread, and it beats up pretty well on a lot of the brews that people bring to the store, so it seems like a pretty safe pick.
It can guarantee at least 3 to 4 wins a night if it's a 5-rounder.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, Dan's my partner, and me and Dan have been talking more and more because I'm trying to understand the Storm matchup a little bit more. There's some matchups that people don't get, but talking to him about it, and he said it, and he goes to bigger events all the time. He just went to SCG Pit or whatever it was. He was like, people don't know how to play against Storm. They legitimately don't know how to play against it. So it's just he cheeses off wins.
I'm surprised why didn't he put the Arya back? There's a Narset in play. He just doesn't draw.
I don't think he's worried for it.
No. You literally can just put Arya in the bottom of his deck, and Dan doesn't get a card because there's a Narset in play.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So there's actually no reason not to just put Arya back, even though he has like a million answers for it.
Dan's just like, yeah, come on. I think once he lands that Narset, I think you scoop it up regardless.
Yeah.
Anthony is here. We can eventually get him on stream. What we've been trying to do recently is we've been trying just to get a bunch of different decks because the modern format is so spread out right now. We're just trying to see a bunch of different decks. But if he is playing some matchup that I would like to see, I would like to see Anthony back on stream as well. So
I completely forgot that YouTube is also going, and there's a YouTube chat. Let's see. Scroll back up through it. Thanks for streaming. Greetings from Curacao.
oh wow.
I was there once, like 10 years ago, on a cruise ship. I think I was. That looks familiar. Aria Flame is great in Storm and could easily be main board. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea what the Storm main board looks like right now.
I think if you're going to play Aria main board and Storm, at what point do you just stop playing Storm, just play Phoenix?
Reman Narset, he should have gone for a Storm last turn. Now he's stuck. Yeah. It's been on the downtick for a while. I remember first starting out of Modern is everywhere. I'm assuming you mean blue-white control. And yeah, it's weird. Blue-white control comes in like waves. Sometimes it'll be just everywhere, and then it'll go away, and then it'll come back. We saw it come back recently with everyone everyone going crazy over Storm.
It's because we've actually said it.
Yeah, Storm's definitely on a downtick right now.
It's because Storm's one of those decks where it was like Dredge. Once Dredge gets hit with one card, people start to be like, all right, well, I'm off of this. Storm, thing with Storm is it's a fair deck again. So if you were able to kill somebody on turn 2 with Storm when they had Season Song and everything, people would be playing Storm. But because it's one turn slower and it doesn't interact well with a bunch of decks, people are like, nope, I'd rather not play it.
I also think it's like weaker to hate than most of the graveyard decks are.
Like, I can't imagine. What if Alexander was actually running Abzan? I think that would just be a terrible matchup for Dan.
Yeah, that's true. Although, to be fair, Abzan is not really a meta deck either.
No.
Grixis Death Shadow being on the rise really hurt it, but now it's nowhere to be seen. Yeah, there was a like small amount of time like right after Modern Horizons where Death Shadow like ticked up and then it like just disappeared again.
So I don't remember fully. Were you on Death Shadow at one point?
No.
What were you playing before?
Before Hogak, I was playing actual Bridgevine, and then before that, I was playing like Abzan Traverse.
Okay.
Similar to what Alexander was playing last week.
Okay. I couldn't remember because I was trying to think back. Because I know...
I've been on Bridgevine since Stitcher Supplier was printed, so it's been a long time.
So it's been a while now. Sleight of hand. He doesn't have a mana dork again, though.
Yeah, that's rough. This is a matchup where you need to find your fast hands.
Yeah.
I think he might be able to afford to like spend another turn cantripping. I miss old Bridgevine. Bushwhacker was sick. Yeah, I really miss being able to do that to people. I don't know. You can still kind of get people with something similar by casting like Maximize Velocity or Fame on your Hogak and hitting them for 9 or 10. It just doesn't feel the same. So this is kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Alexander has a Force of Negation that he can't exile a card for. He has no blue cards in hand. No Rest in Peace, though.
No. Another Colonnade?
Yeah, he's like really heavily leaning on these paths being good here. And right now they have no targets, so.
Yeah, and it's helping him that Dan's not doing anything at this point. And I know we discussed it before, me and Dan we've discussed it. I've discussed it on Friday streams and everything. Dan is not a big believer in the London Mulligan.
Really?
So in his mind, he believes that the London Mulligan, yeah, he gets to redraw his 7, but he has to still get rid of. Sometimes he prefers that scry ability, which I told him it makes sense.
I don't really understand that.
And that's what we were talking about. I said it makes sense because if he's going to keep a one-lander, he can get to scry the top. But I said you get to basically just keep.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same thing effectively. I don't think he's looking at it correctly.
But I told him, I go, because my issue with it is you have to go to 5 and you mulligan twice. You get to keep your best 5 regardless. You don't get to worry about a dead card in the matchup or this and that.
Well, I think all that matters is that you're still seeing 7 cards.
Yeah.
If you mull the 5, you're seeing 6 cards with the old mulligan rule, right? Yep. Because then your London Mulligan also plays nicer with fetch lands. Yeah, that's true. Because you get to shuffle the cards back in, so they're not at the bottom anymore. It's going to pick up a Peer Through Depths and a Past in Flames with that
Didn't want the
piece
brawl.
of the puzzle. Well, you can't take Brawl. It's instants and sorceries only.
That's right. He really needed that brawl. See if it blue though. No.
Yeah, still no blue card for this. He could just hard cast it here. What does he have for 2 mana? Oh, he drew Rest in Peace. Okay, that's pretty rough for Dan. He does have a repeal, but he has no mana dork, so he can't repeal and go off. If you mull the 6, you have to put the 7th on bottom, where the last mulligan you could keep it on top.
It's the same as the scry though.
That's the same thing. So
yeah.
Like, say the 7th card was a card you want, you're not putting it on the bottom then. Do you see what I mean? So like, that argument would make sense only if the 7th card, only if like you always draw 7 cards that you always want to have in your opening hand.
So he does have another blue card? But is it another force negation?
Yeah, he can like at this point he can just hard cast it and it's just fine.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this game is a little bit out right now for Dan, unless he can get some.
I don't know. He might be able to get goblins going if he finds an empty. But there's a Wrath in Alexander's hand, so that's probably not happening.
Why, just looking at that, I kind of been like.
He's got Alexander kind of has every angle covered here.
And he drew another land, which obviously, yeah. It's just one of those ways that he's got everything he needs in hand, but he's got to figure something out for that rest in peace right now. Yeah, draw. Was that Electromancer? Yep.
Yeah, okay.
What is that one card in his hand?
Which one?
The full art.
I believe that is Unsubstantiate. That is a promo. Alright, Electromancer casts Ritual, and in response, we're going to path the Electromancer. I assume he's going to cast some more Rituals in response to this. Yeah, so Ritual, 3 mana floating, path still on the stack. Ritual again, up to 6 mana. Or no, 5 mana. Yep, and then we're going to make some blue mana.
Yep.
Metamorphose again. Does he have a Storm payoff in hand?
He has a Grape Shot.
Okay. I mean, that's not enough here. Oh, he has 2? That might be enough. That should be enough, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, he should win here. Because he gets to go cast both Grape Shots. Oh, he can do this too, yeah. That probably has to, I mean... Huh. I can't see what his storm count is.
I can't either.
There's the Electromancer again. Lightning Bolt you? He has to counter something. He has these force negations sitting in hand he's just not doing anything with. I'm kind of surprised the repeal didn't get countered. Okay, in response to Bolt, he's pathing this.
What is he at though? 11?
Yeah, I can't tell what storm count is. If he can just double Grape Shot and win, then this is over. I think he can from here. I'm assuming he has enough storm to do it.
Maybe it's at 12 right now. 13?
Yeah. He had to... Alexander had multiple points he could have interacted there.
Yeah.
It's very hard to tell, though, if you're sitting on the other side of that, what the correct point to try to like fight over